Hi everyone. So since I'm still in the process of building the next station, I thought I'd give you a bit of a tour of the map and some of the things that I've done so far, just as a bit of a summary really. So we're starting at Piccadilly here, and if I zoom all the way out, this is as far out as the camera goes, and yeah, it's quite hard to even fit a single route in, given the size of the map. But this first one here, Stockport is down here, Piccadilly up here. This would have been the first route that I did, so the amount of detail I guess is lower than the more recent ones. I think the first thing you'll see, one of the main things that I focus on when building a route is I only build what you can see from the cab, usually. At least I did on this route. So there's a lot of empty space either side, because the train is quite low down in here, so you can't actually see out above into the neighbourhoods around anyway. And just look at the sheer amount of open space between all of the lines. It would take forever to populate all of this, and I don't think my computer would be able to load the save game if I did that. The second line I did was from Piccadilly out here to Stalybridge. This one had a bit more detail, especially around the guide bridge area, which is here. There was a fair bit of detail involved in this, and this entire stretch actually, from Guide Bridge to Stalybridge, with the river and this big Asda that I decided to custom build. Now that I've got a bit more into modding, I probably wouldn't do this manually that often again. It's kind of easier just to model something and then put it in the game. But this stretch alone, just from Guide Bridge to Stalybridge, I think was about 40 hours or more of work. Stalybridge at the end here, right at the very end of the map. And I ended up putting a little turning circle here so that I could have trains come, turn around here and then come back. This was another sort of custom built station building, completely made out of assets. Then this line over here is going to Ashton under Line, which is where the current piece of work is happening. After the Stalybridge bit, there was also this little line that goes off towards Hadfield and Glossop, but the furthest that I can fit on this map is Newton for Hyde, so that's where that route ends. Again, right at the edge of the map with a little turning circle. I think each one of these stations gets progressively more and more heavily detailed. And a little substation, which I thought was nice. I think this was my second custom bridge build, where it's basically just a road with invisible bridges and then completely covered with assets. These are all Joe Fried's viaduct pieces, and a few of these are JK's buttress pieces and things from his girder bridge pack. Again, quite a lot of open space along this line. Mostly just detailing what you can see from the cab, which is trees mostly. And then it meets here with Hyde North, so I ended up doing that as well, because you can see it from the cab. So even though our route goes this way, you can still see the station and all of the stuff around it. And the last fully completed route was out from Victoria Station here, That's the Metrolink route up to Bury. So all the way along here. This is the first route that I started to care more about height accuracy. And the height map I used for this map isn't the most accurate, so that's why there's a load of like progressively increasing terrain butting out from the surface. Is where I've tried to match the height of the tracks with the height of the terrain in real life. Not a whole lot of benefit to doing this other than it annoys me that the rest of the map is not accurate enough. There's places where I have to make compromises in order for it to fit in with stuff that's already built. But then when you get out here to somewhere like Radcliffe, there's a lot of open space, like the track is elevated, so this required a lot of neighbourhood building and things. I quite like building this warehouse, this old mill building. It's again fully built up of little assets and stuff, but it's quite a nice big thing, especially to see it from just from a distance over here. And then this line comes all the way to the end to Bury, and I included some of the East Lancs Railway Depot, which is about as varied in its stock as this representation is here. They've got a bit of everything. And the East Lancs Railway sort of starts up here somewhere and then goes off in that direction. And then we've got the little somewhat underground Bury station. So those are all the completed lines. And you can find cab views for all of those in a single playlist. If you look on the channel, I'll leave a link in the description. The next route that we're doing is coming from Victoria, and it's the route that comes to Stalybridge along this route here. So there's quite a lot of scenery that's going to need to be built here, and then it sort of starts to arrive. This is Ashton under Lyne here. Placeholder IKEA. I'm going to build this custom because it's a different shape. And making good use of the new assets that I built, very heavily based off of what this station looks like with the blue and dark red pattern on the brickwork. But yeah, there's still quite a lot of stuff to do here on this station, and I'm also going to do the Metrolink station maybe at the same time, just because it's sort of all kind of visible in the same area, and the brand new bus station and everything. And then I can just fill in this bit. So the first cab ride for Ashton will probably be the bit between here and Stalybridge, because this will take quite a while to build, and then this won't take very long to build, so that'll probably be the first one, and then settle in for a very long, boring, and probably heavily edited time lapse of putting trees along all of this. And there's housing and stuff here as well, and sort of retaining walls along either side of this that I can also build in. So sort of the approach down to Victoria is quite heavily built up, and then it comes into the stuff that was already built for the Metrolink line. I think this is one of my favourite views of the city, is this, because it just fills the entire space and there's just so much going on and it looks really good. The other thing I did before rebuilding Piccadilly is I actually set up all of the lines. So I've got everything sort of running along the line where it would be running. All the Metrolink lines, the Avanti West Coast, which obviously can't go all the way to London, but it goes from Piccadilly down to Stockport, and then down to Cheadle-Hulme, and it turns around here and just comes back up. That's the case for quite a few of the lines, like the cross-country one as well. There's a cross-country train floating around here somewhere. We've got all the Metrolink lines. And then my very weird naming convention for routes is just the operator and then the stock of trains that I'm running on it. So it's either just 150s, 153s, 156s, and so on. So there's quite a lot of the northern routes around this area do use that stock. So that's what I'm using here. There's a few that use 195s. There's a few that use stock that isn't actually available. There's no mod for it, so I actually haven't included some of those. But everything else is there, and then there's the Trans-Pennine Express routes as well. Some 802s on here, some 68s. I even had this one. It's just it doesn't go all the way across the map yet. I think it stops at Ashton. But that one is one that comes from... Oh, where is it? There's too many lines now. There we go. So it comes down. It comes from down here, passes through Hale, Altrincham, Navigation Road, and then it loops up this way. Is that it? No, that's not it. It's somewhere else on the map at the moment. But it loops along here, which is quite the long stretch. There's a few freight depots down here that I'll probably be getting to at some point. Comes all the way along here into Stockport, and then up across Stockport, and then it heads down this very little used line towards Staley Bridge. So that's Reddish South and Denton. There's my parliamentary service running on this line. And then just before it turns into Staley Bridge, oh, there it is right there. Just before it would normally turn towards Guide Bridge, it heads off in this direction up towards here, where it would then, and I don't think I've made it go this far yet, no I haven't, it would then loop back around here, come down here, I think, I'll have to double check this, and then loops up here and heads up, I guess, Moston way. Or maybe I've just missed a line. I'll have to double check this. I'm sure someone can tell me if I'm right. And yeah, so over here, some of the more complicated city centre bits that I haven't fully done yet is there's a whole GMEX missing about here, and a Great Northern Warehouse about there. And then all of this, ignore the bottom bridge here is temporary. It doesn't really look like that, but then there's sort of a placeholder of all this. This used to be a train line. And this is where the Metrolinks run now. And you get Northern Rail and other train services on this lower one. You get Cornbrook, and then quite a lot of splitting off. So you've got the Trafford bar for Metrolink, and then that forks again into the line towards East Didsbury and Airport and stuff, and the Altrincham line, Old Trafford, Stratford onwards. And then Pomona here, where it'll split to Exchange Quay and things towards Eccles and Media City. And the newest line towards the Trafford Centre, which is out there. And then you've got the heavy rail as well for all of these lines going out towards various destinations. Yeah, you can see by the scale that the amount of stuff that I've built so far and the time that that's taken, it hardly scratches the surface of all of the infrastructure around Greater Manchester. It's kind of why I like doing this area, is there's a lot of stuff going on, but it does mean that I have to prioritise which routes get done first and which ones I guess I find the most interesting to build. And yeah, the city centre is still just an AI built town. I've got all the tram routes going through it. It's the second city crossing coming up here. It's Market Street here and Piccadilly Gardens. And then when it comes out the other end, that's just a placeholder for me to shove a tram here for something to turn around. Somehow it's got a passenger. I didn't know those little stub stations could have passengers, but okay. Who knows where they're standing? Maybe it's the driver. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I could rattle off a list of things that I would love to improve, but I won't do that. I'll probably just improve them and show you the result. Be sure to stay tuned for the completion of Ashton Underline, which is what I'm trying to get done in between being distracted by making mods. I don't think I'll need to make any other mods for this apart from maybe the bus station building. And possibly, I've been thinking for a while, ever since I did the Berry line, that I should just make a Metrolink station with platforms and stuff, like the modular platforms, because they're not this colour, basically. They're not. They're like a light concrete platform, and the shelters have a very particular shape, and they've got like the station name built into like the top part of every single platform shelter. And it's all just like, I can get pretty close. Like if you look at, I mean, they don't look, as Metrolink stations go, they don't look terrible. Like if I give it the yellow railing, then it pretty much says, oh yeah, this is a Metrolink station now. But still, the platforms, just, they don't look like that, really. So I do wonder if I could make something different for that. So that might be something else I get distracted by before I finish Ashton. We'll see. Alright, I think I've rambled on for long enough, so enjoy a few little... I'll give you a few more before and after shots, just because I've got some very old saves of this map where there is literally nothing here. Or if it's just a line with no scenery along it, and it's always nice to compare what it was to what it is, because there's a whole lot of stuff here. Okay, until next time. Thanks for watching.